What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Mr. Soul of a Man. We are back. We are live. Let's see. Make sure this thing over here is good to go. Let's see. Yeah, so what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Mr. Soul of a Man. We are live. We are in full effect. I hope. Let me move this. Yeah, so we are live. We're in full effect. So today we are talking about, what can you do in the now. As I was driving and I was in deep thought, doing the early morning workout and all of that good stuff. I was really contemplating. Well, one, what am I going to talk about today? Two, what can what can you do in the now that you have that you can control. Some honestly it's like what's going on, ma'am? Honestly sometimes it's like there's guess you could talk about like chaos and all that stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff that you could say that's like out of our control. It's like the big picture thinking. It's like some things are really and truly just natural out of our control. But what is in your control? Like what can you I was thinking like, man, what can we do in the now that can affect like positive change in our lives, because ultimately we're growing, we get older daily, we're growing, we elevate, a lot of us want better. And it could be a little, the one thing I had to deal with personally. Hold on, eyes, color that light. One thing, patiently, poetically, I had to deal with is patience. I really had to sit down and deal with. I really had to deal with patience. It's like you're at this point, you want to get to that point. A lot of us really and truly a lot of us really want to just skip ahead. We want to fast forward and we want to get to where we want to get to, like so to speak. And sometimes being where you are, I heard Denzel talk about being at the top of the mountain. Then I heard him talk about being at the very bottom. And in that, it was and in that it was like that pursuit of happiness, and dealing with everything that comes with it, and being at the bottom. He says, we're human. We have emotions. We do, and we have to deal with that. So supplementally, we have to deal with ourselves, our inner being, and all of that stuff. Same thing on your life journey, your spiritual journey. We have all of that stuff that we have to deal with. Hey, how are you? And if this is your first time watching, Mrs. Oliver, man, don't forget to subscribe. So what can you do? What can you do? What do you have the power to do right now in your life that you can control, to help to get yourself to where it is that you truly want to be? It's like you're, it's like people who are working, they may be at a job, they're like, I don't like this job, I want to do something else. People who are not working, there's like, well, I don't, I got all this free time, I want to be working. So, what can you do to help to move to move yourself forward? I was like, well, for me, it was like, okay, well, I can, I can get up in the morning, and I can pray, I can meditate, I can reach out, I can do my part to put myself, to just continue to put myself out there with my, the big picture dream and the goals that I have, in between that. True, and I do that on a daily by coming on here, and maybe there's something that I say or whatever, whatever that may help someone out there. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. So yeah, maybe there's something, there's probably something that I may say when I come on that may affect someone in a positive way so that they can make positive, start. A lot of it is how you're seeing it. A lot of it is how you're seeing it. That's why people say, speak things into existence. Take little sticky notes and put them on the mirror, and have little positive sayings and things that you've executed, maybe through that day or through that week or through that month, and you look back and you say that, hey, I'm a very different person now than I'm a very different person now than where I was then, because me in my early working career, I didn't handle conflict like well, with managers, and not that I got into fist fights, but you wanted to physically grab people when they were, they're like, my position, I'm Tom, I'm the blah blah blah, and I'm above you. It's like, no, you're not. You're still human, and then but anyway, so I had to grow. I really I had to grow time and time and time again. Till like the last situation, there was this manager, and wasn't just me, but a lot of other people. But I would look at him like, you're just a little man with your little whatever, so you don't bother me. I believe it pissed him off, and that made me happy. So you get to the point where you can, you get to the point where you can handle these, you can start to handle these things, and you can start to handle these things more progressively, so we're talking about what can you do in the now. And I was talking about the one thing I had to deal with is patience. I know, like, on your spiritual journey, you may hear people give you, I don't know, like some people do reading, tarot, prophecy, whatever it is you want to call it. They may tell you about your future, right? And they may say, okay, well, I see you getting a car, or I see you getting a new position, or I see you eventually in your life coming into fame and fortune, or dating a supermodel. I don't know, whatever it is, driving a Formula One race car, or becoming a national hero in your country, And the thing about that is that you still have to be encouraged to move daily to get to that point, because that's one thing about, that's one thing about, who in the world is this? Except, what is that? Oh, I don't know who that is. One thing about the future, we're gonna get there, but we still have to live in the present. And that's one thing that's one thing that I had to come into agreement with. I really had to come into that agreement where I had to have patience with myself, patience in the situation, knowing I love studying history to understand my, just to understand like where my ancestors came from, my current, just to know my current situation. It just helps me to make it all make sense, make it all make sense a whole lot better, especially when you look at the world's history and all of that stuff. But the important thing is, asking yourself, what can, what are you doing, and what can be done, like right now, in the present, like in your life, to continue to for the betterment of you, to what do you possess in the now, what have you always possessed in the now, that can help you help yourself to move forward? That's the question that I asked myself, this morning. And um sometimes I feel like getting up and, do we all feel like getting up and going to work? No. Do we feel like, whatever, dealing with whatever we have to deal with every day? Probably not. But, I got myself up and I said, okay, yeah, very much so. Yeah, my life did change. And that's, yeah. And this is, perspective even for me, when when you start doing things, and when you start really and truly taking action, and um when you start, people say trusting the process, but trusting yourself in the process, trusting your process, trusting your belief system, whatever that may be. If you just believe in yourself, or a higher, whatever, or if you believe in a big spiritual situation, whatever that is, whatever that is for you. And yes, I have seen where, um, I'll say for me, certain things work. Right, it is. Yeah, they always, Wesley Snipes said, "What is it, Pastor 57?" He said, "I always bet on black." So he was in when he said that, he was like, bet. He was like, I'm going to bet on myself." And when I bet on myself, a lot of those times I'm going to come out the winner. It's like somebody was saying, they were saying this jokingly. They said, if you go to Vegas and you're with somebody who likes to gamble for hours, and you're somebody who puts in like $20 and you lose, you're ready to leave, and the other person is just gonna be there for the rest of the day. So you know what I mean. Let me see. I got one charger, and let me see how am I going to do this. Bear with me here, folks. Yeah. Okay, there we go. And cool. And we are back. Yeah. Yeah, it is. But at like gambling your money away, yeah, true. But we do have to take a risk. We do. There is a point where, and don't forget to subscribe, folks. There's a point where you do have to take a risk. There's a point where you may be tired of going through the same old, and it feels like you're not, it feels like you're not progressing, maybe you're not progressing as fast as you want to. So you start thinking, you start thinking big picture, you start thinking outside of the box, and you look at it like, you have to figure out your own risk. Very true. Yeah. Very, very, very true. Some people are bold and daring. They will roll those dice and they will go big. Sometimes you got to do that. That's when you really, I'm getting like a lot of prime time stuff, prime time real estate, meeting with a lot of big people coming in a very near future. In that sense, that's when you really and truly, that's when you believe in yourself. That's when you're betting on yourself. That's when you know yourself. That's when you're really and truly, you're going for it. Life shifts, and you're in your, you're in a new phase. You're really and truly, I was looking for another charger, but that's when your life shifts. Yeah, you ship out, your life shifts, and you're in another phase of life, and that's the, um right, trusting your gut is so important. That's when you're in another phase of life, and that could be a whole nother, because I've trained through the spiritual gifts that I have. You're trusting your gut, your discernment. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, however, whatever you want to call it. That's very important for you to do that. Also, in this moving forward, be mindful of the people that you have around you. That's going to be so crucial. Gonna say supernaturally crucial. Be mindful. What's going on, Mr. Joshua? Be mindful of the people that really and truly be mindful of the people that you have around. I've said this again on Mason Brook record. Everybody can't go with you. That's just what that is. Now if you want to be nice and circle back and grab that person and maybe to your detriment, but it's on you. But a lot of the clearing out, a lot of the clearing the way. I see somebody on the runway, with the little thing, and whatever that was, it's time for you to land, but don't get too comfortable because you're going to be taking off one more, whatever, whatever it is that you're doing in the now, it's wrapping up. So it's like packed. I'm getting packed, pack lightly, pack lightly, pack like you are packed like you are moving now because there's a lot of things that are happening in the now like we're talking about what can you do in your life to help yourself to move forward. Yeah, someone said, yeah, you need to just clear your mind to forget about all the problems in your life. True. Jedi mentality. I love that. Snowy's coming and dropping gems, man. I love that. That's a girl. It's a beautiful Jedi mentality, man. When you can just like clear your mind and just and focus and not and say like what, I need this to happen. This is going to happen now. There are no if ands or buts about it. This is my life. This is where you take charge, and your everything in you is telling you to like go, go, go. So you make that you make that decision fluently, concurrently to go, and nothing 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 stands in your way. Do whatever it is that you need to do within reason to hype yourself up to go get it done. Scared, whatever, otherwise, but just know that it's going to happen. It's going to be within rhythm, and your purpose driven now with whatever it is that you're doing. I'm getting somebody's trying to do something with a diet plan. They're saying watch your calories. Make sure you're taking the right vitamins. You may want to get with a nutritionist, but they're saying take it slow, watch it flow. So yeah. Let's see. You have a brain to make decisions, so you gotta make it. You do. You really do have to. You really and truly. I feel like, yeah. So you do have to. You have to make. You gotta make the right decisions. Some. I know we were. We were all. I don't know what your age, but we were probably a little younger. We all. We all probably made a decision or two that whatever whatever, but you're still alive, you're still kicking, so move forward. Hey, what's going on, ma'am? How are you? I was looking for you the other day. I think I sent you a message, but see if I could reach out to you. But anyway, yeah, and that's the because if you make the good decisions, you get privilege in life, right? It's just like if you walk with God, your ancestors, and your angel guides you. You're doing the right thing. They're gonna reward you. Like somebody asked me, like you changed your life. Like I see people on the weekends, clubbing, go to, and that's their thing. I did that when I was, way back when, but I don't, that doesn't really help me anymore. As far as having fun or whatever, whatever, because I know that I have bigger things that I want to do. I don't want to be somebody who just goes into the club every whatever. What if you're somebody who wants to own the club? Like to me that just makes more sense. Like seriously, yeah, yeah. I think it was on FB. Yeah. So that's why you should keep uh doing it. Yeah, right. And when I think sometimes people think when you do, like if you're just doing good stuff all the time, everyone, you are, because you're in, you're in like this bubble. You're in a safe zone, and not to say that things can't, like whatever life is going to happen. That's, that's what that is. We deal with things. We deal with things daily, categorically in our lives. That's how that goes. We try to be, we really try to be, we try to be, we try to be as prepared as possible. That's the thing. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was just checking on you, to see, how you've been doing. 'Cause I haven't, haven't spoke to you in a while, but yeah. So that's the thing. Just, that's the. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, I was just trying to say hello, but yeah, that's the thing. That is the beautiful thing about it. Just moving forward, with your purpose, taking it one day at a time, maybe writing down your goals. I know everything that I say isn't going to be for everybody out there, whatever. That is what that is. How I see it and approach it. You may do it a total 360, but I am not just here to facilitate. I'm also here to learn, as well. So, I don't have my mind closed off and say, "Oh, my way is perfect," and blah blah blah. No, that's just not it. It doesn't go like that. All it doesn't. I'll just say it doesn't go like that all the time. Really and truly, it does not go like that all the time. Where, your way is the right, because, you said we grow, we're going to change, we're going to drop some stuff, we're going to add some stuff we're just going to keep through a lifetime. And, you know that's what that is. Somebody might say, well, hey, to work out, all you have to do is just run, or do like regular exercises. Some people might say, well, it's weights. Some might say, well, you no, you have to swim. So I mean, look, whatever works for you is going to work for you. And if you find purpose in that, that's the beautiful thing. Find purpose in who you are and what you can do, and what you can do in the now to bring that positive, bring that positive change that you want to see, right now, and that you want to see right now in your life. And that's the beautiful, and that's the powerful thing. Like in spirituality, we all probably follow something. There's Everybody follows something different. There's people divine feminine, there's divine masculine, there's people who probably do yoga, some people do Buddha, some people, it's God and Jesus, some people it's, you know, whatever and whatever. So some people it's ATRs, and this is the way. I'm not going to do that, but for me, my mindset, I try to have my mind open to. I'm not, I don't debate with people. Like I said, whatever works for you, whatever works for you. I'm not gonna call you out. I'm not gonna call you, whatever. I just feel like as long as you're not out here hurting people or misleading people, that's right. And whatever your path and your journey is, if you're like, well, hey, I'm going to get up every day and I don't know, stretch and do yoga and meditate, and that's what I'll do for the rest of my life. All right, that's your life. That's your path. Other people, it may be a little different, but so. But who to say that people can't take a little of what you do or know, maybe the stretching or whatever, and add it to what it is that they do to help them and in their lives, so to speak. But just know that moving forward, you're preparing for greater, and you should really and truly be expecting greater. Like one thing, it's like action plus preparation, and it's like action, preparation, manifesting, and believing, and getting what you want. Like that formula, or however it is you want to look at it. Wash, rinse, repeat. However it is you believe and manifest. I say God. A lot of people are new age. They say universe or universal. However it is they look at that. But it's really relegated on you and what you're feeling in your spirit, what you're feeling in your heart. You may be, well, I. Some people may say, well, I go to church on Sundays or Saturday for the Sabbath, and I worship God in a church, with other people. Some people might say, well, I go outside into nature by myself to pray, read the word, just me and God, that one-on-one relationship, So, but again, it's all in how you. I get somebody's getting good news coming in very soon, man. Like I'm really getting the point where you're what you're doing has been not just enough but more than enough. And you have some you kept the faith. You have some very solid news coming in. You've been making I'll just say you've been making some very proactive, life changing decisions, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about what can you do in the now, in a sense, um, to help to, I don't know, change your life. To help to change your life in a more proactive, positive way. But you have some extraordinarily great news coming in. And it feels like it's coming in waves, so to speak. And I heard somebody else talk about this. I was talking about like a surfer riding a wave and stuff like that. No, we are not doing that. I do not do that battle stuff on TikTok. That is not my thing. But anyway, what's going on, ma'am? Miss, we're changing generationally out here. Yes, we are. But yeah. So you have yeah. So you have some extraordinarily great news coming in, and this time they will not be able to deny who you are. Seriously, like people, like how it is when you do something different against the grain, and people are like, oh, you still trying to do that little blah 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 blah. It's your little blah 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 until it blows up. They see you know how it is. You know how it is when you didn't do the traditional. And in some families, go to college, maybe the middle, just that same trek, and you like, and your journey is like all your journey is like all just twists and turns, and like my life, in a sense. But your journey is just like, every way, but thanks for tapping the screen. Your journey is every way but up. But yeah, so you're getting a lot of restitution back also. So you're getting, what it is like a lot of those people were envious, and I remember that. But you're getting a lot of the rest. You're getting a lot of restitution back. Something that you have been claiming for a long time. Something that has been proclaimed over your life is going to be happening. So if anybody has ever spoken anything over your life, I'm talking about like something that blew your mind, something like they said, hey, it's going to be a point in your life when you're going to be blah 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 blah, and this is the big exalted, why am I here? This is the big exalted plan for your life. That's what's coming. That's what's coming to your life. I was trying to find a word to describe it. So yeah, that's what's coming to your life. Because a lot of people, they could believe something like that could happen, but they just didn't believe it could happen to you and for you. That's the thing. So all of that other stuff, it's just been, that's a lot of the other stuff. That's just been a warm up. All of that other, that has just been a warm up, for you, for what is to come. Like pushing the bar, you are going to be the bar. It's not just going to be you, but it's going to be you, those other people around you. It's almost like I see you sitting at a table. It's almost like what it's almost like you're almost like a superhero with the Justice League. You're sitting with you're sitting around with some major think tanks, decision makers, go getters, not just people who you come up with an idea and they can't add anything to it. They may have a talent for something, but you present it to them and they expect you to just have everything figured out about it. And so you could just key them. No, it's not. You're not meeting people like that. You put something on the table, they put something on the table, y'all figure it out. Y'all smooth it out. Y'all make it grander than what it was in the beginning. It was, you might have thought it as something, I don't know. They're the revisions to your vision. You're a visionary, so are they. Y'all come together without the jealousy and the nonsense, and y'all make the thing pop. Y'all make it pop. Like, cool. All right, got this idea. Let's get it over the legal. Let's push it out to the networks. That kind of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people like who just expect you to come with a checkbook to write them a check for nothing. That's why I see a lot of that out here. See a lot of people just sitting around, and yeah, some people are waiting for you to move with your purpose and whatever. That's cool. But talking about people who can move in their purpose and move with you. Talking about like people who could swim like in a pod of dolphins or move like orcas. You know what I mean? Like these are like like snipers. People who can really get it done. I'm not talking about people who just talk a good talk. We got way too many of them. We got way too many coaches that have never even been in the game before. How you gonna coach somebody you never even took a jump shot in your life? Like metaphorically speaking. These. But anyway, let me get off of that. It's like now back to our regular schedule program. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You got trying to see what time it is. I don't know how long have I been on here. I don't know. Let me see. Um, okay, 32 minutes. Not bad. Yeah, so that's what I gotta start stretching more. But anyway, yeah. So this is you're not. It may feel like you're beginning something new, but you're not a beginner. You're a seasoned. You're very 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 much seasoned into who you are, what you believe in, how your mind thinks. Like you can with the right people and the right circumstance, you can get around those people first day. Y'all can talk and y'all will like it's almost like y'all have these are the people that are coming, like building, like it's almost like you look at that this person like, man, what the hell have you been at? You know what I mean? They be like, man, like climbing a mountain. Like just probably just like you climbing that mountain and figuring it out and like what do they say? Go for broke. But this season, yeah, that season of being broken. No, that's over with, man. You're moving. You're going to be more accredited. You are now more accredited. You have more credits now in life than you could ever have gone through in school. You have a doctorate level pursuit in your life, and I'm talking about like probably like six, seven, or eight of them. Just based off of the experience and knowledge. Just based off the experience and knowledge that you have for this stuff that and you life has taught you more. You probably learn more off of life, social media, and probably and your personal circumstances, over the last, whatever, when you went to school, college, and all of that stuff. Not taking away from college, but you know what I mean. When it really counts. So Yeah, so that's why you are, that's why you're probably feeling the fluctuations, and that's why you are, um yeah, somebody big is about to come in and bless you in your life, like seriously, like somebody. It's almost like God has been putting something on somebody's mind. Your ancestors have been putting, yeah, more God. God has been putting something on somebody's mind. Your ancestors have been around, just pushing, like pushing, like the situation, moving things out of the way. It's almost like you walking with a map, them having machetes. You're in the I don't know, deep in the woods in the jungle, and they're just moving stuff out of the way so you can see, so that you can go where it is that you know uh circumspectly, prophetically, where where you can go, where it is you can go, you can go bigger, you can go bolder. um you're about to bring generational change into your life. People, because like me, you conquered so many, you conquered so many of those people want to say, oh, chosen ones, blah blah. You were chosen for times like this, and you radiate like greatness from within you, because you're a conqueror. You conquered those generational curses after generational curse of the all of those people who, as they say, richest place in the world, the cemetery, blah blah blah. But you conquered that, and your ancestors are so happy, because they're like, wow, during my time, or I could not imagine, like this person is. That's why they cheer for you. That's why they have your back. And that's why that's why you feel them. You feel their presence, with you, and you have so many other gifts that are going to that you that are inside you, that you're going to open up to. These are things. And I remember in church there was a scripture. We do this, and I think it's like, you do this in remembrance of me, like for the communion, the blood, the consecration. So you've been consecrated, for a time like this. They can't pull the wool over your eyes anymore, because you know what it is. You know without form or fashion, you know what it is. And they're saying dress for success also. But you know what it is, and you know who you are. You know who you are. You know your purpose, and you're going to move forward, and you're going to do miraculous things. So I know I probably said a whole lot in this, and while I was sitting here talking to y'all. But we were basically just talking about, what can you do. We're just talking about, what can you do in the now to help to move yourself forward, and all of that. So but you now walk with purpose, you now walk with confidence. And I know the road felt lonely, but you know I hope you've enjoyed that alone time, because a lot of that is coming to the end. Coming to the end of that race, a lot of people are going to be reaching out. A lot of people are going to be getting in touch with you. A lot of people, you know just, yeah. So just saying, you're going to be busy. You're going to be busy in the ways that you're supposed to be busy. And you're about to be, you are, you are being, what's going on, Dr. Berry, psychologist? Let me see something. So, you are being rewarded, gratefully, graciously, um, because it's your time, man. It is, it is really and truly your time, for purpose. It's really your time for purpose. You have been. How long have you? You know what? I don't want to ask for. You've been waiting. Feels like you've been waiting in this line. And I was talking about this earlier. I was talking about when you're trying to get somewhere. It's almost like you've been stuck in traffic. But you have been waiting with poise and purpose and excellence and just amazingness. Let me put this in here. I should have grabbed the other charger from the back, but it's cool. But yeah, you've been waiting, so now you're heavenly, abundantly being rewarded. There's albums, there's books, there's businesses. Yeah, you having the faith of that mustard seed. You planted that. It only really took 1 second. It only took that one seed to birth you. From your greatest of grandmothers and grandfathers to put that. Like one day we will not be. One day we will. The chosen one will come. In the family. So you're it. Surprise. You're it. So that's why you gotta go through all of the stuff, so to speak, so that you are overly, and the times we're living in now, you have to be overly prepared, like seriously overly prepared. You are way more. You are, you are generations ahead of people. How you can sit down and talk to people and just have a conversation and pleasantly, powerfully get something out. You both can get something out of it. You can come to an understanding. You really can. You can come to an understanding. You're not just going to be helping people in your community. You're going to be helping people globally. So I'll leave you with that. Leave you with that cliffhanger, baby. But all right, if this is your first time watching, don't forget to follow all that good stuff on YouTube. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe and all of that. I don't know, these books are still here. Don't forget to reach out. I'm an author as well, myself, Miss CJ Inspires. You can get this book at www.soulofaman504.com. This book can be purchased at tjinspires.com. www.tjinspires.com. So, dream the impossible for everyone out there who has a dream, who think that it can't come true. And, Soul of a Man, poetry for the mind, body, and soul. But yeah, man. But with that said, I'm gonna go ahead on and get off of this thing. I will holler at y'all later on. But Mondays come around so fast, don't they? But I'm gonna go ahead on and get off here, y'all. Have a great Monday, and we'll holler at y'all on that flip side. So peace.